Hello, I'm Ashley Sellers, speech language pathologist and owner and operator of Speech, Language, and Beyond. We're located in Albany, Georgia, and we're a very small pediatric private speech therapy company. And today I'm here to talk to you about another product I've developed called Broken and Blended Articulation and Phonology cards, and they look like this. Okay, these cards can be found on my website at www.speechlanguageandbeyond.com. If you would click on the Speech Therapy Sheets tab, they will be listed under the Articulation section. There will be a free download that you can click and save directly to your computer. And if you decide that you want to purchase this, I will receive that. It will be paid via PayPal. I will receive an email notification, and you will be sent this product through your email. So make sure that you provide a valid email address. And once you are able to download this, there will be a password that you will be given to open the document, and you will need to print this on 4x6 photo card paper. Okay, and this photo card paper that I have, I actually purchased it from my local Dollar Tree. It was about 20 sheets in the pack all together. Okay, now let me give you the reason why I developed this product. Because I noticed with my 2 to about 4-year-old clients that I'm working with, a lot of them have significantly decreased expressive vocabulary, and it also affects their ability to be able to put sentences together to communicate their needs, their wants, or their interests. And I noticed that the layers surrounding this problem had a lot to do with the way they were articulating their sounds. A lot of their age-appropriate sounds they were not able to say correctly, therefore decreasing the amount of words that they could learn at their age and decreasing their ability to be able to put these words together in sentences in order to be intelligible. A lot of them were showing phonological processes, which are kind of normal for kids within that age range, because they're trying to mimic what it is that they hear adults or their older siblings around them saying. So they will leave off the ending consonant sound in a word, which we call final consonant deletion. They will either leave off or substitute the sound that's in initial position. And that's the reason why I, in the beginning, wanted to create this product. But then as I began to develop it a lot further, I also thought about those children that have phonology problems. Not only are they producing the sound incorrectly, but they're also dragging this over into their reading skills when they see these words in print. That same articulation sound that they have, they're applying that to the actual word itself, therefore distorting their meaning of the word and therefore affecting the reading comprehension. I also did these cards, for children that are having problems with their reading, but it's more with their phonics, because they often can produce words correctly sometimes, but if you ask them to take these words and to spell them on paper or to use these words in a sentence, they are actually, spelling these words the way that they sound. And for a normal English language learner, we know sometimes that you will have sounds like F that will be represented by PH. Or you will have a word that has a Z sound on the end but is spelled with an S. Or the fact that sometimes you will have an S sound on the end of the word, but when you spell it, that S is represented by C and E. So these cards are also a way to teach these rules explicitly for children who are having difficulty spelling words, producing and reading words, and also with kids that have difficulty with articulation. So these cards, they cover P, and B, which are appropriate for our 2 to about 4-year-old or any child outside of that age range who's still having problems producing P and B. It also covers F and V, K and G. And I chose those sounds because these are sounds that are harder to do. K and G are made in the back of the mouth, and most of the time when you produce them, kids can't really watch your mouth to get the sound, so you have to provide extra stimulation for them to know that they're having to use the back of their tongue to produce these sounds. I chose F and V because they are sometimes hard to teach as well, because you're taking your top teeth, putting them on your bottom lip, and then you have all of that sound, the freeziness of the sound, which is a fricative sound, is what we call it in our profession, of that air that you hear after you produce these sounds. And these are just sounds that kids normally have problems articulating. And for these sounds, they're targeted in the initial and medial position, but not so much in the final position. Because a lot of my children were having difficulty with final consonant deletion, what I did was, on the end of these words, I used a variety of consonant sounds on the end so that kids could get that practice. You know, being African American, and when I was going through my profession, learning about the different, you know, dialectical errors, or, you know, how different dialects affect how we produce our sounds, for, you know, people within my community that are leaving off ending sounds that's said to be normal. You know, that's a statistic for me. I don't want to teach my child that it's normal for them to leave an ending sound off a word. So personally, for me, it's a pet peeve, and I like for my children, all of my children, no matter, you know, their race or age or ethnicity or whatever, I want them to be able to produce sounds the way they're supposed to be produced, because overall it increases their intelligibility, and that's what's important to me, because people judge you off the way that you speak. And if you don't sound intelligent when you speak, then people will try to treat you as if you aren't intelligent by the way that you speak. So I always carry that with me, and I always make sure that it's even across the board. So that's why I made sure to put a variety of consonant sounds on the end of the words. Another reason why I feel like I wanted to create this product is because in my 3 years of experience working as a school speech therapist, I noticed that so many of my children had so much difficulty with writing what they said. They could speak intelligently orally, but when you tell them to write this down on paper, it's a totally different story. And for the profession of speech pathology, written expression is a part of expressive language. And the amount of children that I had that had difficulty writing sentences, and realizing that when you write a sentence, you need a capital letter at the beginning, you need a period at the end, and you can't always write the way that you talk. That was a big thing. And what that led me to have to do for my kids when they came in, I would actually have a language, I'm trying to think what I called it. I would actually have a language goal or tip of the week, where 1 week when we come in, we might have been working on nouns. So you had to tell me what a noun was. If you were working on your SH or your P or your B sound or whatever, then you had to give me a noun that was that started with or contained the sound that you were actually practicing on. I had to teach a lot of expressive language techniques explicitly for all of my children, whether they were working on language or articulation, fluency, voice, or whatever area of, you know, communication that they were having problems with. And I just saw this to be such a serious problem. And, you know, at this particular point in my life, I'm almost 30 years old, and it's the kids of the adults of my generation that are having the children now. So when I think about my nieces and my nephews and their friends which are going to be the people that are going to grow up and be the future speech therapist or president or teacher, doctor. It's important that they can have these skills. And believe it or not, a lot of children, and these some of your most intelligent children, are having difficulty with being able to write words and use sentences appropriately. And cards like the ones that I'm about to tell you about really help to target some of these phonological or phonic skills explicitly. All right, so let me quickly give you an example on how we would use this card. All right, so you will notice here that there's a picture being provided for visual stimulation to draw children into the card so that they can be interested. Then you notice that there's the word pen here. So of course, with this particular word, we are teaching the P sound in initial position, but also we're conquering the N sound and final consonant in the final position of the word. And what the dots do, the dots allow for you to be able to break the sound down individually. So it would be P, N, N. Okay, we'll say, let's say that word again. We're going to break down each sound. You listen to me do it first, and then I want you to do it after me. P, N, N. And it's important that the card is near your mouth where they can see how your mouth is forming and shaping in order for them to mimic that same movement to say the sound correctly. And you may need to stay in this area for a while because this is the area where you will see where they are misarticulating a sound. So you will know just by them saying that P sound first whether or not they're able to say it correctly, or if they are substituting that P sound for a B sound. And then you can target that sound individually by getting them to say P as many times as you need them to, and then maybe then getting them to say B so they can feel the difference. B, b, p, p, b, b, p, p, so they can know the difference. They may be able to say the P sound correctly. So then you have the E sound that's left in here, and you want to make sure that they're saying that vowel sound correctly as well, because a lot of times the problems that we have producing a consonant sound can distort how we say the vowel sound, because you may have a consonant sound that's made in the front of the mouth but then have a vowel sound that's made high or low in the back of the mouth, and they have to go from forward to back that quickly in order to form that sound in the word, and that's very important. So you may have to stay with the dots for a while so that you can teach them individually how these sounds are made, even though you may be working on P in initial position. But what's the purpose of only focusing on the P if you notice they're having problems with the rest of the sound in the word? That's how I am, you know, as a speech therapist. You will have some that will say, well, if they're focusing on P, I just want to make sure they can say the P sound correctly, and then we'll come back and we'll target the rest. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own approach, but I like to catch it as I see it, so that we can go ahead and cross that bridge, you know, while the problem, you know, is in our face. So you may have to stay here for a while. Then when you feel like they're ready, then you're going to go to where you see that line right there at the bottom. That's where they're going to blend it. So it'll go from P, N, N to pen, pen. And you get them to blend the sound together. And you may have to stay there for a while, okay? Just to give you another way that we can teach the phonology part of this, let me pull out another card that I have here. All right, you'll notice that we have the word office here. All right, now let's just say for this one, this is actual card that focuses on the F sound in medial position. But if you notice, I've broken down every sound in this word. But let's say for this particular card, you're not working with the Artic kid right now. You're working with a kid that's having problems with reading and being able to spell words correctly as they write them down. Well, this is a good way to teach those skills explicitly. So you'll notice here that you have the F sound, but it's represented when it's spelled with 2 F's. That's important for a child who's having difficulty with reading. That's important for them to know. Because when they would spell the word themselves, when using it in a sentence or writing it on paper, they probably would put 1 F, and that would be incorrect because it's spelled with 2. So that's a good way to teach them that sometimes, even though there's 1 F in a word, it can be represented when it's written by 2 F's. All right, then there's an S sound at the end of this word, but that S is spelled with C-E. And that's another way to teach that rule explicitly as well. So this gives them, if you have a child that's working on articulation, they can target this F. If you have a child that's working on their reading skills and being able to spell words correctly, then it's broken down here explicitly so that they could see it. And if you're kind of working with a child that has problems with reading, you may ask them, you know what, I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write down the word office. See how they spell it. And if it's spelled O-F-I-S, if that's how they put it on paper, they spelled it for you phonetically, and then you can pull this card out to teach. These are the rules surrounding how this word is spelled. And that's instantly helping them. So again, these cards can cover articulation of P, B, F, V, K, and G in the initial and medial position. And on the end of those words, you have a variety of consonant sounds. It's not, you will not have these sounds in consonant in the final consonant position of the word, but there will be other consonant sounds on the end to target final consonant deletion of sounds, or putting the correct consonant sound on the end of the word. The dots represent the stage where you're breaking down each word, the sound in each word individually. The line represents when you're blending all those sounds together, and that's good for your Artic kids. And then it's also good for your kids that have reading problems or problems with spelling, because the words are still broken down to where it shows them 1 F can be spelled as 2 F's in a word. S on the end of a word can be spelled as CE, and that's important for enhancing their reading and their spelling abilities. So I hope that you find these cards useful. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, feel free to email me at speech.therapy@speechlanguageandbeyond.com, and that email address will be in the description box. Any comments, any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me. Until next time, I hope all is well. Thank you.